Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people for your Friday, June the 7th. And we're going to start things off talking about broadcasting. So there you go. The Edmonton Oilers will be planted on Sportsnet for 11 more years. The regional rights being extended by Rogers/Sportsnet for that amount of time. So right up until 2035. Which does kind of remind me that the whole Bally's situation, we'll see where all those teams are being broadcast this year and all that. But yeah, so Sportsnet keeps the Oilers for 11 more years. Of course, between now and 2035, we're going to see the national broadcasting rights come up. And we'll see what happens with the rights in Canada and what those look like and how much they're worth. But at the very least, the regional broadcasts of the Oilers not going anywhere, so you're going to keep Jack Michaels, I would think, and Louis DeBrusk there. Crave is going to air an 8-part docuseries that I'm going to watch. I do enjoy the docuseries, and I know they're doing the one as well where they're going to be looking at star players and following them through the season and all that. Think along the same lines as the quarterback one that was on Netflix. Same kind of idea. Well, Crave's going to air an 8-part series on the Canadiens titled The Rebuild Inside the Montreal Canadiens. So you get to see some behind-the-scenes stuff. We saw that with Toronto a few years back. It was fascinating to watch the whole Toronto one as well. And I really think that this kind of thing could help to expand the fan base because people who aren't necessarily fans of a sport will watch documentary series on said sport. My wife doesn't really watch wrestling, but when I watch like Dark Side of the Ring or some of those kinds of things, she'll watch it with me. She finds it interesting. So I do think this is a good way to convert people to watching hockey who otherwise may not be. So we'll see how things go with this series with the Montreal Canadiens and just how salacious some of the details might be. I don't think we're going to see anything salacious. You never know. You never know. There's usually some kind of talking point that comes out of it. And so we'll see how things go for Montreal. But their rebuild, I think, has been a success thus far. The real measure of that success, of course, is when they come out of the rebuild, how do things look? But for right now, Montreal, I think, has been successful. The Philadelphia Flyers, so the reason I'm wearing Flyers garb, they are considering buyouts. Buyouts of Cam Atkinson and Cal Peterson. They're both in the final years of their contracts. It would save them millions of dollars in cap if they bought them both out. Peterson, of course, had a really rough season. His numbers have been down substantially. Atkinson had a strong start to last season, petered out, so I understand why these would be considered buyout candidates. That being said, the Philadelphia Flyers are also a team that's right at the cap for next year already. This is one way to try to make some space. It's kind of a messy way to make space, but it could help them create some cap space for the Flyers. The cap. So the salary cap that's been down for so many years and it's been flat for so many years, it's expected to be at $87.7 million, but apparently ticket sales have been high and so have ticket prices, and therefore the NHL might actually raise the salary cap to an even $88 million rather than $87.7 million, which isn't a lot, but the fact that we're reporting on the cap maybe ends up being a little bit higher than we thought it was going to be. It's music to the ears, I would think, of GMs, to players, and it should be to fans as well, because that's a sign that the league's really healthy, they're doing well. And finally, that conversation about, well, if the NHL's making money, why isn't the cap going up substantially? Well, now it is. And the expectations are $92 million for next year. However, if they go up to $88 million this summer, maybe we end up with $92.5 million as the cap maximum for 2025-2026. Definitely feels like we're headed in that direction. AHL playoff news. Both Milwaukee and Cleveland staved off elimination last night. Milwaukee did it kind of big. A 7-2 win over Coachella Valley. Game 5 is tomorrow, and Coachella Valley's up 3-1 in that series. Cleveland won at home 3-2 over Hershey. So at the very least, fans in Cleveland and Milwaukee got to see their team win at home. Now the series stays there because they're 2-3-2 series, which kind of throws me off a little bit because I'm used to after Game 4 you go somewhere else. But yeah, Cleveland and Milwaukee have a chance to make the series a little bit closer. And of course, if you need a Game 6, Hershey and Coachella Valley have Games 6 and 7 at home. And before anybody says, why doesn't the NHL do that? Yeah, they did. The NHL tried that in the mid-90s, and it was far easier for the lower seeds to get a split. And then just with the games 3, 4, and 5 being at home, they could just absolutely take a stranglehold on the series. The NHL got rid of that setup really, really quickly. 2-3-2 definitely favored underdogs at the NHL level. Clearly hasn't in the AHL yet, but again, the fact Milwaukee and Cleveland have the next game at home, that definitely is a big help. And then you could get into the conversation about whether or not Coachella Valley or Hershey could suffer the 3-0 reverse sweep, right? The dreaded reverse sweep. But again, the Stanley Cup final begins tomorrow. It does feel like it should be resuming. It feels like it's been forever since I watched a hockey game. So at the very least, I'll be fresh and renewed and full of vigor and all that for when the Oilers and the Florida Panthers get at it. I cleaned the board off. The board's been ready to go since I think Monday. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.